Hi there. So today I'm going to be talking about our police department in Albuquerque and their interactions with us as a society and actually how they are viewed by people. I believe that we have a problem with the public perception of our police department, being that it's just overall negative. It seems like people just tense up when they see cops and immediately think they're doing something wrong. So, my research question is: how has the past few years of law enforcement activity affected public morale towards police officers? In order to figure out the answer to my research question, I of course had to do some primary and secondary research. Let's start off with the primary. I gave a survey to several groups of individuals at my work, which consisted of only 10 yes or no questions. After compiling all of the data, I was so surprised. I found out that a lot of people have this negative perception of law enforcement. What? This means that they don't even like police officers. It seems that they don't find them even helpful. This was my original thought when I started doing the research. A lot of my participants said that the reasoning behind their answers was the recent shootings across the nation within the last couple of years that involved police officers. Some even mentioned Albuquerque police officers being involved. This is shocking. According to the Rolling Stone article written by Pinto, he said, and I quote, "Over the past 5 years, police in Albuquerque have shot and killed 28 people. No wonder why people have this negative perception of the police officers." This brings me to my secondary research, where it includes the letter that the Department of Justice wrote to Mayor Richard Berry regarding the recent allocations with locals. They go on to say, while officers may be required to use force during the course of their duties, they must do so respecting constitutional guarantees against unreasonable searches and seizures. For too long, Albuquerque officers have faced little scrutiny from their superiors in carrying out this fundamental responsibility. Despite the efforts of many committed individuals, external oversight is broken and has allowed the department to remain unaccountable to the communities it serves. Based on our investigation, we find that the department engages in a pattern or practice of using excessive force during the course of arrests and other detentions in violation of the Fourth Amendment and Section 14141. The Albuquerque Journal states, and I quote, "Federal officials have found that APD violates citizen rights with excessive force." Is that something that is okay? Should it continue to happen? This leads me into an article written by Esquire mentioning that Albuquerque is a shoot first force. How crazy is that? I mean, I don't want to live in a city that people think that all we do is shoot and kill people. Now let's get into more specific detail of the survey responses. The first question I asked my participants was, do you feel safe in the city of Albuquerque? What's crazy is that 16% answered no. I take this as 16% of these individuals are not comfortable in the city that they live in. I expected this answer to be 100% yes. Sandra, who is a T-Mobile employee, states that she would like to see more positive involvement from the department. She even goes on to say that the department is not meeting her standards as a citizen. I find this really surprising because this is an individual who had really never encountered with any type of law enforcement, whether it was good or bad. I would personally like to see the perception, or I would expect the perception to be at least somewhat positive. My second participant, Zach, states that only in the state of an emergency, or if required by law, would he allow police officers into his home. He would rather not deal with police officers if he didn't have to. Honestly, I think this was more or less the general consensus for most individuals that took the survey. And finally, Tristan states that he only likes the department if they are, and I quote, cool, meaning he likes the police officers that don't let the power go to their head and then become cocky. He states that he likes the ones that give breaks and not a ticket every time he gets pulled over. Now, this brings me to my final thoughts. Seeing the overall results from my research is definitely shocking. The overall public perception of law enforcement is just plain negative. People are not willing to trust police officers. If the majority of people don't have to deal with police officers, then they just don't. And again, this just kind of goes back and aligns with my thoughts too, because I sometimes don't trust police officers, but I know that they are sworn in to protect society. I think part of the blame has to do with what's been in the media recently and how they can twist stories. As they state, APD is shooting and killing without justification. My feedback to those that participated in the survey was to kind of go outside of their comfort zone for a bit and to trust cops because I know that they are absolutely good police officers. And so finally, here's some graphics from my research where I asked my participants, do you feel safe in the city of Albuquerque? And this is where 16% said no and the 84 remaining said yes. And second, I go on to ask them, within the last 5 years, do you feel that crime rates have decreased? And 30% said yes, 70% said no. So what are we doing to resolve this? What I propose we do is have a higher level of involvement from the department, because essentially we are questioning this level. And as you may know, the city absolutely loves the department. However, there can always be room for improvement. So here's a couple of ways I think we can achieve this goal. One, to have more local citywide events like parades and festivals and things like that. Two, allow the department to have something similar to an open house where people can go inside not only the substations but also have a look into other things like the academy and whatnot. And three, provide more units to areas that have high crime rates. And by creating this more involvement from the department, we would all be able to see a shockingly decline in crime rates. There would also be an overall positive morale created within the city, and even a safe environment for everyone would be promoted. There would be trust instilled in the department and within locals. And I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for watching this video.